NIFA. I'm Joe Spitzen, Assistant Manager of the Regional Housing Accelerator Program at the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority. With me behind the scenes is Amanda Wusk, Marketing and Relationship Manager at NIFA. Thank you all for joining us today. Networking with NIFA was created as a substitute for our monthly networking opportunities, Omaha AM, and the Capital City Breakfast Club in Lincoln. You can find links to our videos of our previous sessions on NIFA.org and on our community development page on NIFA under Outreach and Action, and directly on YouTube under NIFA Housing. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted there later today. Links will be posted in the chat. In anticipation of Veterans Day next week, today's topic is military home. First, you'll hear a presentation on NIFA's military home program from Stacy Fotinos, our homeowner operations manager. After that, we'll have a Q&A session with Rachel Pierce, loan officer at Benchmark Mortgage. If you have any questions that you'd like to contribute into the Q&A, please enter them into GoToWebinar's question feature and I'll read them for you. If you would prefer to ask your own question, please use the raise your hand feature and I'll unmute you. We'll also have a few quick polls to share with you, so be ready for those. And that's all from me for now. So it's all yours, Stacy.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. Perfect. Okay. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Looks great.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Just want to move this out of the way a little bit. So welcome to today's webinar. Again, my name is Stacy Fotinos and I am the Homeownership Operations Manager at NIFA. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about our military home program. Before we get started with the military home basics, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are. NIFA was created in 1983 and our purpose is to assist low and moderate income first-time home buyers. We are a quasi-governmental agency and we do not receive any state or federal funding. Our programs have assisted over 94,000 Nebraskans to purchase a home. How we do that is we sell tax-exempt bonds to provide funding to purchase qualifying loans. A little bit about our NIFA basics, our homeownership basics. We talk about borrower eligibility. In order to be eligible for our program, all occupying borrowers and any non-purchasing spouse must be a first-time home buyer. The loan itself must meet NIFA income and purchase price limits. All of our borrowers must complete a homebuyer education course prior to closing on their home loan, and those certificates are valid for 12 months from the date of issuance. In addition, all the other agency and program overlays must be met. For example, credit scores, DTIs, etc. Our definition of a first-time home buyer is a person who has not owned a home and lived in it as their principal residence within the past 3 years. A borrower can, however, own investment properties as long as they have not occupied the property as their primary residence in the past 3 years. We do have some exceptions to the first-time homebuyer requirement rule for things such as divorce, a forced job relocation, target area purchases, maybe because of a natural disaster, or if you are a qualified veteran. Again, homebuyer education is very important to us. It is required on every NIFA loan. It's required to be taken for all occupying borrowers on the note. We do prefer face-to-face education, and we do have links to our face-to-face education options on our website. There are some online courses acceptable as well, eHome America, Framework, and Credit Smart, and you can see at the bottom of this slide all of the available options for your borrowers. Now to dive into our military home program. This program was developed to support the Nebraska military in 2012. The program provides NIFA's lowest possible interest rate, and right now we are accepting applications for that under VA, FHA, and RD loans. Those are all eligible. Joe, can I have you launch the very first poll question, please? Thank you. Okay, I'm a little rusty at this. Jody, need me to go ahead and continue?
Looks like 57% said yes and 43% said no.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, hopefully for the ones who said no, this will be of benefit. Next, our military home mortgage rate, as I mentioned, it provides NIFA's lowest possible interest rate. Our current interest rate for the military home program is 2.375%. This is on a 30-year fixed rate loan. Again, the loan types available are FHA, VA, and RD. And in order to be eligible for this, the applicant requirements need to be that you are either active military or that you are a qualified veteran. I want to talk a little bit about our purchase price limits, focusing primarily on the 1 unit property. That's what we see the most consistently. Our purchase price limits for things in our considered non-target areas is $283,000. And in a target area, a 1 unit property, a borrower can purchase something up to $346,000. Joe, I'm going to have you go ahead and launch the second poll question, if you would, please.
They are rolling in. So far, 38% have voted.
Okay, perfect.
Right now, over half, and we're sitting about 2/3 saying yes and 1/3 saying no. And in retrospect, I should have added a third option saying this does not apply to my job.
Okay, fair enough. That's okay. Ready for me to continue?
As you were.
Okay. As we talked about, our qualification guidelines. If you are an active military member in the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, National Guard, and Reserves, you do have to be a first-time buyer. That requirement does apply. The one exception to that rule is if you are purchasing a property in a target area or if you are purchasing with another allowable exception. If you are a qualified veteran, you must have served in the active military and that you have been honorably discharged or released from the service. A qualified veteran does not have to be a first-time homebuyer. We do require that when that loan gets submitted to us, a copy of the DD 214 is submitted along with that pre-closing package for our review. If you are National Guard or Coast Guard, we do require a copy of the NGB 22 or the DD 214 as applicable. The first-time homebuyer requirement does apply, again with the exception of target area purchases or with another allowable exception. A little bit about some of the characteristics of the military home loans since inception. This data is good through 9/30 of this year. And just notice that we have helped 772 military home loan buyers since the inception of the program. Our average loan amount is about $140,000, a little more. We have seen that we are primarily focused in the urban areas. In Nebraska, that's considered Douglas, Lancaster, and Sarpy counties, with them taking up 70% of that population. We have served military home customers in 49 of our 93 counties in Nebraska. Our average borrower age is 35. Their average income, just shy of $50,000 a year. And then there's a little bit of information about loan type breakdown, with VA loan being the heaviest hitter. I want to thank you very much for your time today. And just to let you know, this is a list of our homeownership team here at NIFA. We have Shelly, who is our compliance review specialist, Susan, who is our homeownership team leader, I am the operations manager, and we are led by Jackie Young as our Chief Homeownership Officer. And that is the end of my presentation. Okay, Joe, did you go ahead and take control back?
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, Rachel, want to join us? There we go. All right, joining us now is Rachel Pierce. Rachel grew up in a small rural community in central Illinois and graduated with only 18 in her class before moving to the Omaha metro area in 2005. She currently lives in Glenwood, Iowa with her husband and daughter. She jumped headfirst into the banking industry right out of high school and has been helping families achieve the American dream of homeownership since 2010. Her passion is helping educate first-time homebuyers and military about their home loan options while reaching their financial goals. Being a trusted mortgage expert is a privilege, and nothing makes her happier than providing valuable financial options to clients. She is supported by a first-class team at Benchmark Mortgage that treats every client like they are family. All right, thanks for joining us, Rachel. I'll leave it now to you and Stacy, and rejoin later for questions from the audience.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for inviting me. It's definitely an honor to be called upon to share some of my knowledge and answer some questions about the VA home loan. So, Stacy, you have some questions for me, right?
I do. I have several questions for you today, so I hope you're ready.
I am.
My very first question for you is, what is a VA guaranteed loan?
Yeah, sure. So it is the only loan that is actually 100% guaranteed by the government. So the guarantee really means that the lender is protected against loss if the veteran fails to pay. With the VA guaranteed loan, the veteran must have the intent to buy the house as their primary residence when they're purchasing. And you can also use the VA home loan to take equity out of your home as a cash out refinance, or to do an interest rate reduction as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
My next question, who qualifies for a VA loan?
That's a great one. So really, veterans who meet the service link requirements, it's changed over the years, so it really depends on when they served. But active duty currently is they have to have served for a minimum of 90 days. Reservists and National Guard people have 6 years, and they have to have 16 points, which to be honest with you, they can actually qualify if they have less than that, if they're called up on Title 10, which is basically where they're going to go into be active duty. So there are some situations. And then the most uncommon one that we see, I've only done a couple of these in my time, is someone who is an unmarried surviving spouse, but the veteran actually has to have died from a service-connected disability while they were married. So it's kind of very unique, but it is out there. So that's pretty awesome, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I knew about the surviving spouse, but you're right, you absolutely don't see those very often. Good to know, and thank you for sharing that with our audience today. My next question is, what are the benefits of a VA loan?
Sure, great. So the benefits are that you can do zero down. You do not have to carry mortgage insurance. VA actually charges a funding fee, which is in lieu of mortgage insurance, if you will. They charge that as an upfront, a one-time fee that goes into the loan amount. There are certain circumstances, which is if you are rated with a disability, if you have a rating on disability, you are exempt from that fee. So in that particular case, you don't necessarily have to pay for that. It is reusable, so you can use it more than one time, and you can have more than one VA loan at a time, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And also, it's 100% guaranteed. So that's the benefit of doing a VA home loan.
Perfect, perfect. Joe, I think at this point, can I have you launch our third poll question? Let me know when you're ready for us again.
Sounds good. We're a little past half voted, so I'll go ahead and call it there.
Okay. Perfect. Let me know when you're ready for us again. There we are.
Right again.
Okay. And I do apologize. I'm not sure if anybody can hear the sirens going off in the background. We are not having a tornado here in Lincoln. I'm just going to clarify that, but they are testing this morning. So I apologize for the distraction. Rachel, my next question is, what documentation is needed to qualify for a VA loan?
Sure, that's a good one. You need to have a certificate of eligibility. As a lender, we can retrieve that through the VA portal for you. Usually it's done within minutes because usually everything's electronic, but in some cases they do come back with a manual, which we will have to require additional documentation such as copy of your DD 214 or your point summary if you're National Guard or Reserves, or a statement of service if you're active duty. In some cases, but we do need to have that in order to qualify to make sure that you do have the benefit to receive.
Okay, perfect. Wow, they are really testing us a long time this morning. I am so sorry about that. My next question, does every lender out there offer VA loans?
I would tell you a majority do, but some do not. You have to be approved to participate in the VA home loan program.
Okay. Okay. What are the basic loan underwriting requirements for a VA loan?
Sure. No down payment is going to be required for your first time use, or if you're using your tier 2 eligibility and there's enough entitlement left over, you can have a 0% down payment as well. So we'll calculate that depending on the questions that we ask you in the beginning to determine everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different, of course. Every lender is going to have different overlays in some cases regarding the credit score requirements, but NIFA's is 640. And then there's residual income guidelines that are used to ensure affordability. So they want to make sure that your debts and incomes plus your living expenses, that you can qualify and handle that payment and have the ability to repay.
Excellent. And I know you touched on this a little bit a couple of questions ago, but just to reiterate, if I have already received a VA loan, can I actually take out another VA loan? Is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. You can reuse your VA loan repeatedly. You just have to pay off the previous VA loan so that your entitlement is restored, and then you can reuse it again. And in some cases, you can have more than one VA loan at a time. Giving you an example, so let's say you get a permanent change station from somewhere else. You can have your existing home be a rental property, and then you can buy another one. Again, the VA wants to make sure that your intent when you're buying the home is that it is used as your primary residence. But you do have the ability to do that. And then we obviously have a calculation that I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because obviously it doesn't matter to you particularly, but we will make sure that you have the ability to do the 0% down, or there's a calculation to determine if you can buy another one using your bonus entitlement or your tier 2 in order to, and you may have to come up with some additional money for that. It just depends on your scenario. So yeah, I hope that helps answer that.
I think so. And there's no limit to the number of times that you can use your VA eligibility.
You can use it over and over and over again. A lot of people ask me that. A lot of clients come to me and say, well, I've already used my VA home loan benefit. Well, that's great. You get to use it again as long as, you know, there's not any loss to the VA or your eligibility or your entitlement is restored.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Then I have some kind of NIFA specific questions for you rather than just general VA loan questions. So you personally, Rachel, how long have you been originating VA loans using the military home program?
Yeah, so since 2013, actually, when I became a full-fledged loan officer, started out actually as an assistant to a top producing loan officer and then moved into becoming a loan officer. I've been using that program since 2010 under him, but started myself in 2013, and it's a great program.
Excellent, excellent. And we appreciate everything you do in that program.
Thank you.
Why would you recommend the program to qualified buyers?
Sure. I mean, so for me, I think that it's super important to do right by the veteran or active duty, whoever it ends up being at that time, and offering them the lowest rate and most competitive fee structure is obviously very advantageous to them, and I want them to be in a program that's going to make sense for them, because a lot of times your veterans or people that are military that are active duty aren't necessarily staying in a place for a long period of time, and so it's best for them to be able to take advantage of that up front. So rates are usually almost always lower on the VA loan than what you can get in the regular market, and so I love to be able to support the Nebraska finance team because we love working with you guys, and it's a great, easy process. And again, the lowest rate and fees are really what sets you guys apart for that. So
thank you. Thank you for that. Joe, I would like to have you launch the next in our series of poll questions. I believe this is number 4.
Responses are coming in. We have about 24% who have voted.
Okay.
Once we get a little over halfway, I'll go ahead and close it because that seems to be the tipping point.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for your help.
Hey, Stacy, after this question, I'd love to add a little bit on that question, actually, if you don't mind.
Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The answer is far and away yes.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to kind of add here was that I actually missed that question in the very beginning of becoming a loan officer. So I think it's super important that you're always asking. I kind of make it a habit to ask every single client if they or their spouse are a veteran. I also ask them if they answer yes, then if they're entitled to any disability through the VA, and then I also ask them if they ever have received their certificate of eligibility, because they can get that themselves. But I've missed that before in the very beginning of being a loan officer, and it's really important because this benefit is something that every veteran should be taking advantage of.
Excellent point. And I can see that that is a question that is easily missed, especially during times like we have experienced in 2020, where things have been so busy. My next question for you is, how is NIFA's household income calculation different than your lender underwriting income?
Yeah, so NIFA does have a household income limit, in regards to that, but there isn't a limit for the regular VA loan, if you're doing that in the regular market. But again, this is drawn to help the first-time home buyer, right? And so normally, your qualified veterans and even active duty are usually under that income limit. So usually it's always usually a fit.
Good. And we do count everyone that lives in that house as part of our income calculation rather than just who's going to be signing the note. Yeah. What is the main qualification difference for an active service member and a qualified veteran?
Sure. So with NIFA, the active service member has to take Homebuyer Education and the veteran does not. So that's the difference.
Okay. Last question for you, Rachel. Is a spouse's income included to qualify for a NIFA loan? It's quiz time.
Yes, ma'am, it is. Yep.
How about other adults living in the household?
Yes, ma'am. Yep, absolutely.
And we verify that.
Yes, you better make sure you put it in there.
And then I don't have any other questions for you, Rachel. I do have one last poll question, I believe. So Joe, if you could cue that up for me. How are we doing on responses?
I think we're there.
Okay.
That's good.
Very comfortable or does not apply. There is nothing else.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Did we have questions from the audience today for Rachel?
I just had a question roll in actually. This is from unknown commenter Jackie Young. She asked, can you please talk a little more about the residential income calculation? Thank you.
Was that for me or was that for Rachel?
I don't know. This is, can you please talk a little bit more about the residential income? She said for Rachel. Thank you, Jackie.
Okay. Yeah. And you're just talking about NIFAs, actually, specifically, I assume. So, I mean, NIFA has income limits that you can look up on their website for Douglas and Sarpy counties. And so that's what we're looking for. Are you asking me to tell you exactly what those are? Because I can absolutely do that. And honestly, I always pull those up because I don't know them off of the top of my head because they do change a little bit sometimes.
She said no underwriting residual income.
Oh, residual. Yep, I think I did cover that. But the residual income, so basically with VA in general, they're looking at the residual income to make sure that the borrower is able to repay like their utilities and also their other debts. So they're not just looking specifically at debt to income ratio. So they're taking into consideration like childcare costs, because those are things that we don't necessarily look at in regular underwriting. So they're looking at childcare costs, utilities, things like that. And they are they're using the net number. So when we're grossing up retirement and things like that, they are taking that back out to make it look more like a real net number to make sure that we're getting to the right income. Does that speak to what Jackie was asking? I hope.
I believe so, unless she messages me otherwise.
Okay.
Quick question, I guess. Do you do anything with determining veteran status or active duty status, or does VA handle all of that?
So we receive the status from the certificate of eligibility. So that is handled by the VA. Again, we are just making sure it comes back and says that they have the benefit or don't. And in some cases, it will list out if maybe a previous loan wasn't restored, or they had a loss because of a foreclosure or a short sale, something like that. And so then at that time, that's when we would calculate the entitlement to see if they have to come up with a down payment or if they're tapping into that bonus entitlement or tier 2.
Very good. Well, I haven't had any more. Actually, another question came in. Do other loan types use the same guidelines?
Underwriting guidelines in regards to VA?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm just guessing on that. Okay, kind of vague, but so VA is actually a little bit more lenient if you're doing a regular VA loan in regards to their underwriting requirements. So honestly, in my opinion, it's the best loan program out there because it is the easiest loan program to underwrite. They really focus on what the veteran can do. So hope that helps.
Wonderful.
And I think they are, if my memory serves me correctly, their appraisers are also very concerned about the condition of the property. That's not something that NIFA is necessarily focused on. We don't have any overlays with regard to property, but I'm assuming that that is still true, that the VA is very concerned about the condition of the property.
Yes, absolutely 100%. Just like any other government loan, they want to make sure that that loan is going to be resaleable in the event that someone defaults and they can get their collateral back. But more importantly, they want to make sure that the home is in good safety for the veteran, and making sure that they're purchasing a home that's not a pile of dump per se. So they are really going into a fine detail. There's a lot more protections in regards to that, also so that the veteran is not overpaying for a house as well. So, yeah, 100%.
Excellent, excellent.
Anybody else?
Very good. No more questions in the question function of GoToWebinar. Just saying thank you both so much. Do you have any last thoughts then before we sign out?
No, I just thank you again for the opportunity to talk. Quite an honor to be asked. If I can help anybody by being a resource, please reach out to me. Doesn't matter if you're another lender, because we're all on the same team, really. There's enough loans out there for everybody, right?
Sounds good. Well, we will post this online. We can definitely have your contact information in there with it if you'd like.
Okay. Thanks so
That's
much.
perfect. And Rachel, thank you so much for sharing all of your expertise with us today. I know we here at NIFA appreciate everything that you are doing for first-time home buyers, and even more specifically for military home purchases. And we just cannot thank you enough.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you both so much. That was a great discussion. We will be off next week in observance of Veterans Day, but please tune back in on Wednesday, November 18th for a NIFA Conference Connections plenary session entitled Missing and Murdered. Joining us will be Kirby Williams from Legal Aid of Nebraska and Judy Goshkabosh from the Nebraska Commission on Indian Affairs. Don't forget to register at NIFA.org for this and the rest of our upcoming events. So thank you both again. Thank you everybody else for tuning in, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.